Alright, welcome back for another video for Ease of Life. This is the transfer all items. So here's what it does. You hit the T key, hit the G key, or you set whatever key you want it to be. Goes back and forth. And I set it to where you can take anything that is a not an inventory slot, so one of these little boxes. You can take it and it will fill it up to the designated area. And when you give all your items back, it doesn't necessarily take it out of your equipment slot. And you can change it pretty easily. It's just a branch. So now you've seen what it is, let's dive into it. First of all, you want to create some input actions for to call this. So you get your input action. I did once because I would see occasionally where it'd do it twice. It would because the print string would do double whatever it was. So I just made sure that it only does it once on the reset when the action is complete. And then we're going to call a function that you create that is transfer all items or whatever you name it with a boolean that I just named it as take all items. So whenever you hit the key that you want to take all the items, you mark that true. Whenever you want to give it from the local inventory component, your player's inventory component, to the storage chest or whatever, dead player, whatever it is, you leave that false. And then in the function that we created, I did some changes to where you don't have to make multiple groups or multiple functions. So this area it's quite complicated, but it's pretty easy to follow through. So you're going to get your interacting actor. You want to make sure it's valid for your transfer items. So whenever you hit the T or G key, if it's not valid, it just doesn't do anything else. It just doesn't read any of the code. So you're going to pass this to a selector that is based off your bool, take all items. So you're gonna pass it to here, and then you're gonna get your local inventory component is gonna be false in the selector. The interacting actors component is gonna be true for this one. It's going to be false for the second selector, while the local inventory component is gonna be true. And all this is gonna be the same bool off take all items. And then the reason why we're doing this is because we want to change who the source is and who the target is. Because from this video that I did a while ago, this week, you had to change who it was directly in the request transfer item server and the find space. So this way, it's all calculated at the beginning, so you can do it with one function instead of having to make multiple functions. You can do two functions if you want to skip this part. Like you don't have to have any of this. You could just do it as transfer all items, and then you just manually set the source and the target. And then the same thing with the containers, because your containers on your player's inventory component is going to be different from the interacting. So you're going to want to get the component of class, get the containers for that component, and then you'll pass that for the for each loop. You'll pass this for each loop to get the break the info. You'll get the items. So this is the area where you would remove if you don't want, like if you want to give everything to a chest, even your local weapons or headphone, helmet, whatever, you would remove this portion right here and just bypass it. So if take all items is true, you'll go straight to here. If your take all items is false, which means you're giving it, that's the reason why this breaks off into this branch. So you this is to determine who the source is. Well, not who the source is determine whether this is involved or not. We're saving this as an array, which you don't have to. I don't know if I actually even use it. This was for debugging issues. For each loop to your item, so it's pretty similar to the quick transfer. And then down here is going to be basically the exact same thing as the quick item transfer, except for now we're using our new plugins to where the target plugs into the target, source plugs into the source, and then the inventory component is local inventory. That will always be the one calling the request to transfer item server for your, because it's the player who's hitting the key to call it. And then this would just be the target for the find space. It's basic, and it's the exact same code as before for the quick item transfer. We're just changing 4 things. And that's it. You got this one function, and you got the inputs to who calls that function. Make sure this one's true, make sure this one's false, and then it works. And it works with items or weapons. So give. Obviously there's no space in here. Put this here. Fills it up. There's no more space. And maybe in a later video we'll go back into this to get the biggest slot items first and then fill in afterwards. But yeah, there you go. Hopefully this helps. If you have any suggestions or anything for what you want to see me do later or improvements on this system, let me know. Thanks.